What up, you guys? Welcome back. Happy Friday. Currently 7:21 in the morning. Just got to headquarters, picking up the orders for the day. I do the same thing every day, man. That is what's working for me. Shout out to everyone that hopped in the live yesterday. It was a good time. I had a good time. That was a great video. Welcome to all the new subscribers. And just thank you guys for being here, man. I'm just a guy with an addiction, past of addiction, and I'm just here to share my experience. Hopefully it'll help someone out, and I do my best to keep you guys entertained. In a way. I'm not the most funniest guy, but I do what I can. So I watched a short this morning on YouTube, and it was about sacrifice. So the point of it said, if you don't sacrifice for what you want will become the sacrifice. So think about that, man. If you don't sacrifice for what you want, I'm not talking about business. I'm just talking about anything, right? Anything you really want, something you're passionate about, something that you hope to achieve one day. So if you don't sacrifice for that, if you don't put in the work for that, that will eventually become the sacrifice. So I'm going to take you back to 2019. I was a life coach when I first got out of rehab. I got a job a month after I got out. I was a life coach. While I was in treatment, I was able to leave the rehab and take a course at the University of Arizona. And that was to be a recovery support specialist, because my time in rehab, within the 4 months I was there, the staff noticed some growth in me. They noticed I was reaching outside of myself to help the next man, help the next woman. It was a co-ed rehab, but they noticed I would do anything and everything to help others. I felt I was ready to leave and start my life by month 3. So that 4th month, was just some extra clean time. I was kind of like irritable, anxious, just waiting to get out and start my life. I took care of so much while in rehab, to every day. I took care of so much there to make my life as easy as possible for when I got out. And that helped. So, got a job as a life coach, did that little over a year, and ultimately I quit on the job. It was a Saturday. So, about that situation. It was a Saturday. And that morning, there was a set of twins there. These kids were like late teens or something like that, right? And both of them were at the point, in their stay to where they were working and they were looking for transportation. So they asked me if I could take them out to go look for cars. We went to a few different spots. It was summertime at that moment. I was on methadone, of course, right? So we were out there, as soon as I started my shift at 8, took them a little bit to wake up. So we left probably around 10:30, 11. So we hit a few different spots to go look for vehicles. We had fun, they had fun. The best part about that job that I liked is we as the staff got to experience a lot of things in their life that their parents wouldn't be able to, right? Getting their first job, getting their driver's license, going to school, going to college, stuff like that. So we were probably out there for a few hours, man. It was hot, and we just hit a few spots, and it was really cool just hanging out with these kids, seeing what the youth, seeing where their heads at nowadays. We had to be back by 4, because at 4 we were due to take everybody at the rehab. We were due to take them to like some mountains, like kind of near Nogales, Arizona. It was probably about a 45-minute, an hour drive away from the rehab. So we were going to take them out there to the lake, so they could go cliff jumping, just hang out in nature, man, just have fun. That was the plan. So we had to be back by 4. So we were out for a few hours, and so we got back probably about 3:15. I was beat, man. I was tired. We were out the majority of the day in the sun, just walking around, checking out cars, all that good stuff. Kind of dehydrated. I ran out of water towards the end of the trip. I didn't feel like going out to on that trip. I just wanted to be the staff member that hung out at the office that day and take care of the kids who were at work. And then when they got off work, they would have to come back to the treatment center. So I wanted to be the evening staff member that, waited for those kids to come back, make sure they weren't messed up, drunk, any of that good stuff. So I wanted to be the on-site employee. There was a staff member there. He was like the manager at the time. He got promoted to a manager position. Hang on. All right, just had to make sure person across wouldn't hear me talk and all that. All right, so his plan for the evening was to stay on site, wait for some of the guys to come back to the rehab, and then take a few of those guys out to play some street hockey. We weren't the only staff members there. There was more than one staff member there. He wanted me to take the kids in the van and just go on this trip, help oversee that group. I wasn't feeling it, man. And I wasn't having it, I wasn't having it. So ultimately I tell this guy, that's not going to happen, man. Let's have one of the newer staff guys go on that trip and take the guys out there and just cover for me. We'll swap. And I wasn't just a standard life coach over there. I had a little seniority. After I got hired, I got a promotion to like a shift lead. I think that's what it was called. I was a lead member. So I tell this guy, let's have the other guy go. And so the manager and the other guy I'm talking about, they had plans to go play some street hockey. And I'm like, look, bro, I'm tired. I don't want to do this trip. I just don't feel right. I don't feel good. So he wasn't having it. Ultimately, I'm just like, look, bro, I'm out of here, bro. Like, I wasn't willing to bow down and all that, If they couldn't understand what I was going through, the way I was feeling, then they weren't like mature enough. There was a lot of lack of experience. I've had plenty of managerial experience, plenty of experience working with people, in my time. A lot of customer service, a lot of hospitality. So the fact that they couldn't understand that, and the fact that they still wanted to go play the street hockey, I'm like, okay, this is not happening. I am not going on that trip. So I just quit. I just ultimately said, I'm out of here, bro. This ain't it for me. This ain't it. That whole time I was employed, I would always resell stuff like on my downtime. At that time I was selling anything and everything that I could make a buck on. Anything and everything. Anything I would find at a yard sale, Goodwill, stuff like that. So I had that side income working for me. I'd sell locally on Facebook, or I would sell on eBay. So I had that to fall back on. I wasn't where I needed to be. I wasn't where I wanted to be financially. but I had that to fall back on. And I knew if I were to leave this job, I wouldn't have these checks coming in every 2 weeks. So I would have to step up my game, do a lot of research as to what I know there was a lot of in my city that I have access to, that I could buy a lot of, and that I could flip, meaning resell, and that's clothing. So I narrowed down what I was selling to just clothing, primarily men's clothing, because there's a lot women customers really don't read the measurements in the listing, right? They just think all brands of jeans, for example, are the same size. Some different brands fit differently, kind of common sense. So there's a lot of returns, is what I'm saying. So I primarily sell on women's, unless it's a banger item, like a vintage women's anything, just something that's cool. So I always had a passion for this. I love what I do. Love what I do. Putting this back on because I don't care who listens. So my plan at that time was to scale this frickin' business as big, as large as I could. I started off with 1 rack and then 2 racks. Now I'm at 3. I've been selling a lot of stuff, so I'm still adding a lot of clothing to my eBay, and pretty soon, probably within the next couple weeks, I will be getting a 4th rack. I always wanted to do this full time, which I do now. But I am not satisfied. I'm satisfied as to where I'm at in the direction, but I want to be the biggest store, not only in Tucson, but in Arizona. I want to have Arizona on lock. I want to get to the point where people are reaching out to me to buy their clothes. Right now I have to go out and seek for these items, for these things to resell. But things will happen in phases, right? I already met some people that buy storage lockers. They do the auction thing. For storage businesses, when people don't pay their storage rent, they put the items in those storages for auction. So make sure you're paying for your storages. Otherwise, I might be the guy that's buying your stuff and then having to resell it back to you. So don't let that happen. My whole point being, if I didn't make that sacrifice to go all in, then my dream of this that I'm currently living would become the sacrifice. If I didn't go all in, go full force, then all of this would still be a memory. It would still be a thought that eats at me every frickin' day. It would always be the back of my mind like a little dark cloud. I hate that feeling. I hate it. I should have done this, should have done that, I had to start over in life at 39. Not getting any younger. That is one of the things I'm most thankful for right now. Other than my sobriety, is the fact that I went full force with what I wanted. I'm super thankful as to where I'm at right now. Of course I want to grow, but I have to do what it takes to get to the next level. And I'm doing that. If you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want is going to become the sacrifice. Thanks for listening.